welcome. I'm Light, and this is my podcast. Hello, Rob. How are you?
Hello, Tracy. I am really, really good,
Oh,
thank you. How are you?
I'm good, but your microphone is doing that weird thing.
What's is it? The breathing thing again, or
No, it's like that shouting.
what about now? Is it okay?
Yeah, now it's better. Yeah.
Thank you. I will talk like this then.
And before we get started, I was just telling Rob that I do not know why my voice sounds like this, so please forgive me. Rawr. I'm a little bit tired today.
She might break into Seven Wonders at some point, but there you go.
Maybe. Um. So, how are you, Rob? What's going on with you?
Well, I had my second COVID jab, so
Ah,
good to go.
I had mine
Um,
like a month now. Wait, no, like 6 weeks now. No. And my son and husband got theirs yesterday too, Rob.
well, we're all ready to go then.
We're all ready to go to the pub together.
That's the one.
Awesome. When are you coming over?
Oh, I'd love to come over now. Well, not now, but because we're in the middle of a podcast, that would be difficult. But after the podcast, I'd like to come over.
Good. Okay, that's great. Just hop on over, get in your lorry. No, don't bring the lorry. God knows how many dead bodies are in
That's another podcast.
that. So, what we're gonna do today? Here's the plan, and if we stick to it, uh, that's a bonus. What we're gonna do is we were talking about how when I first started this channel, I told all my paranormal stories, and my UFO encounter and my ghost stories, and being scratched, and I had a real life demon problem during the course of this channel that was it happened in a real life time, and so we talked about that too. But a lot of the new people have no idea of the supernatural and paranormal experiences that I and Rob have experienced. So we thought, you guys who've been around a long time and you might know these stories, maybe you want to hear them again. And if you do, that'd be awesome. And for those of you who haven't been around and you don't know these stories, which kind of was the basis of why I wanted to start this channel in the first place, um, wanted to be able to talk about paranormal things and write. I, wrote write stories, but I haven't been able to since my father died, which is a whole other subject. Um, but we thought we'd introduce you to some of these experiences we've had, and then reintroduce the people who've been around a little bit longer. Right, Rob?
It gives you the opportunity to, for the new people, for all of you, really, it gives you the opportunity to to put your experiences down as well um, in the comments, which we would love. We would love to for you to do that, and we can read them out maybe on a podcast or
I would love that. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Leave your experiences below, and I would love to. Um, uh, Mark, one of our subscribers slash dear friends, he has left some experiences in some comments that I would like to put together and do have a podcast and include those too when we talk about paranormal things. So if you guys would love to share your paranormal experiences with everybody, that would be awesome. If you'd rather write it down and send it to me, I can give you an email. Open to all kinds of whatever you guys want to do to share.
Can I just have a quick shout out to Steve, my Maycat? Thank you for
Yes.
your email, and you owe us a story, my friend.
Yes, I left a message for Steve yesterday, I believe, and said, "Give me a story." So we encourage you guys to send your stories in, and he does true crime stories for us, which is great. All right. If you would like to, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share it with people who like true crime, missing persons. I do a lot of like the 411 cases. We do paranormal things with hauntings and whatnot. And if you know people who have those kind of interests, please go ahead and share the channel because that'd be great. And for those of you who don't already know, my last video about I have to be very vague, the two missing children. I did put another video up until explained that my comments were turned off by YouTube, not by me. I would not turn comments off. I enjoy all your comments and the conversations. I love that we have a community that hangs out together. But they deemed that the content was unfit to even be commented on. So I guess I didn't get paid for it. But it's a really worthwhile topic. If you guys haven't read my last one or watched my last one, it's a really worthwhile topic because it's something that I've been following, and I think we can do some good if we get the story out and spread around. But I'm sorry about the comments. And if you want to, tell YouTube how bad that sucks, that's fine. I do, and they don't listen to me. So, all right. Rob is going to go first. He's going to tell us his experience with UFOs.
Yeah, I certainly am. It's going back a long time now, probably 25 years, maybe some bit less, bit more. I'm not sure. I had not long come out of the military, and I used to go walking and hiking and climbing, and I used to go to a place just on the outskirts of Manchester called Duffstones. It's a big reservoir. Well, there's 3 reservoirs that come down, and it's near a thing called the Pennine Way, which basically is, if you imagine, Trace, a moor or moorland, really, and mountains and moorland. What they have done, they have put down stones, big paving slabs, right across for miles and hundreds of miles. And it's an area. So you can walk. There's an actual walk. You can walk right over the Pennines, which is a set of mountains that come down in the northwest. So it's near there as a reference. People probably have heard more so of the Pennine Way than they would have heard of Duffstones. But going back to Duffstones, I used to go there a lot, and we used to go there very early in the morning. In the summer, sometimes like before 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had a dog, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and there was no one there. And the purpose of going so early was the fact that there was no one there, so I could let the dog run around like an idiot. So I parked my car up. I got out of the car, and I had this weird feeling. I couldn't put my finger on it. I just had a weird feeling. So I sorts myself out, gets my rucksack on, boots on, and we start walking. We walk up through a bit of a forest on the first reservoir, and there's no one about at all. You see the odd farmer sometimes, or you see the odd person that's going out running, and we just get a drink. And I didn't see anybody that I can remember. So I walked around the first reservoir, which is probably about 3 miles. Then you go up. The reservoirs come down like in steps. There's the first one, and then the middle one, and then the bottom one. It's like comes down in steps. It's a way that it works for the water off the mountains. So it gets to the second reservoir, and I had walked nearly all the way past the reservoir, and I noticed something on top of the water. It's really hard to explain. Imagine it was like if anyone's watched the film Predator with the alien who's all sort of camouflaged.
Pixelated.
Yeah, a bit like that over the water, and I couldn't. At first, I couldn't put my finger on it. So I remember climbing up on this wall. The dog climbed up as well, and for some. I'm sorry about that. It's my other phone. For some reason, I thought I'd have a drink of coffee, and I just watched. And there was a wall between the two I was going to say locks. Then I was in Scotland. Between the two reservoirs, and right over the other side, there were.
That could have been the problem, Rob.
Yeah, that could. Yeah.
Suddenly you were in Scotland.
I was in Scotland. Yeah, definitely had a UFO experience. So I could see these figures. Bearing in mind, it's from a long way away. I could see these figures, and I could see now that this, which looked like before, the angle I was at before, it was actually above the water, and it looked like water, which is really hard to get your head around. But it looked like someone had taken a piece of the reservoir, like a corner piece of the reservoir, and lifted it up a few foot, and it was just reservoir. There wasn't water pouring down; it was just reservoir. So if you look from above, if you were above, which there's a mountain right by the side, you look down at the reservoir, all you would see was the reservoir.
Mm-hmm.
You can only see it from this the sort of area that I was in now. So the dog started being weird, and for some reason I wasn't frightened, which I probably should have been. And I was watching it for ages and ages, and I don't know how long I was watching it for, but I don't know if I sort of went into sort of a daydream. I just watched it, and the little people, the perspective is a lot to do with this, but the people look really small.
Wait, there were people?
There was the little figures that were at the side of it, but I couldn't make out any features or anything like that. There was 2 or 3 of them, and they knew that I was watching. They didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. And all of a sudden, it was gone. It just went up in the air, and it was gone. And then I looked at my watch, and I'd been there for ages. I'd been there for absolutely like what seemed like 5, 10, 15 minutes was a couple of hours at least, maybe even more. So I couldn't believe. I think the first person I actually told was Tracy, and that was obviously years later. But I remember going up to them.
This is actually how we first met.
Yeah, I put a video. I did a video, not a video. You know I did a recording. Of what had happened for Tracy's YouTube channel.
Yeah, you wrote and said, because I don't know, I wrote about, did something on my channel, and you wrote in response and said that you had a UFO experience, and maybe it was to a response to my UFO experience. I'm not sure, but I asked you if you would want to tell it on the channel
Mm,
and you do a video, and so you did, and that's actually how we got to know each other. And I think I've been doing this channel for 6 years,
mm,
as of March 1st. So it was probably five 5 years ago or something.
mm. And the funny thing is, I've told Tracy, I think I've seen this. I think I've seen this since, and I think I've seen it before.
Hmm.
I can't give you dates and times, but it really played with my head. Really, really played with my head. And when
Now, can I ask you about the beings?
the beings,
The beings?
sorry,
Yeah, about the beings.
yeah, they were
About the
just,
beings. Now, did they come out of the pixelated?
yeah, they were. It was right. If you imagine, you have reservoirs in America, don't you?
Yes.
You do have reservoirs, okay, and you imagine the wall around the reservoir. It was a good um, sort of 10 foot. The water level was ten
Yeah.
foot up from the wall. So
Uh,
if you took that corner and put this pixelated thing there,
hmm.
so it was level with the wall, sort of thing, but it there was pixelation underneath it. They were coming in and going out, and coming in and going out, because I got
Mm.
the dog reacted more so than me, and like I've said to you before, I should have been afraid. I should have been afraid, but I wasn't afraid. I
That's
just
what I was
sat
going
and
to ask
watched.
you, and they didn't seem to be afraid of you.
No, they just carried on. They just carried on doing whatever they were doing, and
Hmm.
then they disappeared. Well, they went back into the thing, and it just went. It just shot up in the. It just shot straight up. Really, just I can't even. It was gone. Like I don't know, speed of light. I don't know, speed of sound.
And what did it look like when it shot up? Was it still pixelated?
Yeah, but
Did it
it
look like
was.
water?
It was just the color of the sky.
Oh, so whatever it was against just was pixelated.
Yeah, it's really hard to describe. But pixelate is
Well,
a good word.
Rob, um, I did a I did a video story. I don't, yeah, video. Um, Last year sometime, I believe it was, and it was might have been the year before. Probably was the year before. Um, Last year, it's hard to remember, frankly. But it was about I think that I might have even done it with Dory, but it was about the 411 hunters
Mm.
and that have gone missing. And one of the people in the video was a woman who was married to a UFOologist
Right.
who is very well known. Like, I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now. Travels around, speaks at conventions, and has a lot of photographs and proof of UFOs. Well, he is married, and his wife was up in a deer stand. And for those of you that don't know what a deer stand is, you to go hunting, some people will I don't know what that was, will build uh, like a treehouse
All
kind
right.
of a thing. And you sit up in it, and so that it keeps you off the ground and you can see the deer. Um, in Texas, they do it, a whole different way. Like, it doesn't matter, but you plenty of people that know what deer stands are. So She was in a deer stand, and she said that she saw something on the trees opposite of her that was pixelated, and she described it as as alien. What is it? Uh, what's Rob? What's the movie? Predator.
Alien. That is so.
Predator.
Sorry.
She described it as Predator as well. That that's basically what it did to the leaves and everything. It was in front of. It just assumed that pixelation. And at the exact same time at a high school during a football practice, um, some type of um, object was hovering above. Is that right? Yes, hovering. Okay. I knew one of those hoovering was going to get me. That's a vacuum. Hovering above the kids who were practicing, and they all stopped and looked at it. And at the exact same time, she was in this deer stand, seeing this pixelated being walking across a branch, and she was afraid. You know, basically because your mind goes to predator,
Yeah.
and that's where her mind went to. Like, oh no, I'm in predator. I need Arnold Schwarzenegger. So she started, but she said her first instinct was to start taking pictures because, being who she was married to, she wouldn't get away with coming home if she didn't have proof.
Yeah.
And he went to the pictures, and um, the pictures were at such a high density he's that they weren't hadn't even been invented yet. That these blurry things,
Mm.
he could not get them to come out because we didn't have the technology for the
Yeah.
density of these. So it's interesting that a very famous case like that is very similar to your case with the pixelation.
Well, we didn't have Google or anything then, or anything like that. But
Yeah.
since I have looked up the area, the actual area of Duffstones and the surrounding area, there's a lot of UFO reports
Hmm.
for this area, which I didn't know. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know at all. But um, they a lot of people have claimed to see UFOs. Um, yeah,
So do you feel
it's
like fortunate that you've seen something like that, or rather, would you rather have not?
well, that's a good question. Bloody hell. I'm, yeah, I do. I feel fortunate more so because I wasn't scared. Um, when I say I wasn't scared, I don't want people to think, well, I'm this big, rough, tough. I'm not saying I wasn't scared in that respect. It
It
didn't
didn't
feel
feel.
threatening.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
didn't feel threatening, and I feel a bit stupid saying that because most people would think, well, you must have felt something. I didn't.
Hmm.
It was almost hypnotic.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But they
Um,
didn't seem to find you threatening either.
well, no, not at all, not at all.
Huh.
And
What do
my,
you what do you think they were doing? Why were they coming in and out?
I think it was something to do with the water.
Huh.
I think it was something to do with the water. I don't know what. I'm not exactly sure why. But I think it was something to do with the water, and um, they needed to get water, or they just needed. I don't know. I don't know. But
Did you ever go back after that
I've gone back loads of times. Yeah, I went
and
back
never
loads
see
of
anything
times.
again?
No, never seen anything again for ages. Never seen anything again. But I have seen objects which re- remind me of it. So I sort of think
Hmm.
it's the same thing. Maybe I'm
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Um, I and I think I've seen it before.
Mm.
I think I've seen it when I was in the army.
Really?
Yeah, I think I have.
Huh.
But
Um, um, I think you might have told that story here, did you?
the one when I was we were on exercise and
Yes.
I was
Uh-huh.
yeah. I think
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, what
Um,
about you? Do you? I don't want to jump ahead too much, but you've seen more than one UFO, haven't you?
hmm
Do you
Yeah.
think it could? Well, I won't go on that anymore because I'll spoil your story, which I don't want to do. Um, but yeah, I don't. And me and my daughter saw a UFO um,
hmm
in lockdown. Funnily enough, we'd been to the shop. She ended up being stuck with me for sort of 3.5 months. The first lockdown, it was really sunny. We had loads of sun for some reason, um, and we went to the shop. And I remember us coming home a little bit longer way because she wanted to walk a little bit. Wanted to go that they called it the long way home, um, and we saw I'm in a wheelchair now, I'm disabled, so I was looking up and it was almost, at first I thought it was a seagull because I live in Cornwall, so we have a lot of seagulls, but it's too high up for a seagull. And then Grace saw it and it was sort of spinning, like a spin, like a spinning top. You spin it on the
hmm
table and it
hmm
spins around really quickly, but sometimes it'll lean over to one side so it's not even the way it spins.
Yeah.
It was sort of like that. So
Huh.
I think I've seen a few. We definitely saw it because Grace was there with me. I mean, do you remember Grace told you, didn't she?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
So I had a witness with me.
Yes.
Um, we, she wasn't scared. She wasn't scared. I don't think. I think it was very far away though. This one,
Right.
um, but anyway. So what's do you want to tell yours?
Yeah. Okay. So, the day before I saw mine, um, I live everywhere I live. I tend to live by Air Force bases. I don't know how that works. Maybe there's just a lot of Air Force bases, but I lived not too far from an Air Force base, and and sometimes we would, see unusual things, but they were usually pretty explainable to because a lot of the training goes on at night,
Yeah,
and so you can catch sight of that and just the way they line up and stuff can look strange, but if you wait long enough, usually you can see that it's you know the training. Um, we saw when I lived in Wichita Falls, we saw three pixelated um, drone-sized uh, flying things when we were outside walking our dogs. Three, like I said, drone-sized. But at first, we thought they were owls because where we lived, there was a lot of owls, and we had two very small dogs, so we had to be very careful because we didn't. To owls, those they look like food. To owls, you look like food. It just doesn't matter. So, but these things swooped down over us, and we kept watching it, me and Madison, in the dark, and I couldn't like get my eyes focused on those. And we saw them swoop over. I lived next to this gas station right off of a freeway. Swooped over there, swooped down by the gas station and up. and they were moving exactly in the same um, motions with each other, and we still kept thinking we were actually talking like, are those is that owls? That can't be owls. There's no bird. It's just the weird pixelation. And then we thought maybe they're drones, but you couldn't. There was no distinct drone either. It was just three pixelated balls. That was interesting, and a same sort of pixelation experience. But this one, the day before I saw it, um, somebody that I knew came into work and said, holy shite, I think I just saw a they didn't say shite. They said, I think I just saw a stealth airplane. And I joked that if he had just seen a stealth airplane, it wasn't working. And and so and
Sort
he
of
was
defeats
saying
the
that,
object, doesn't it, really?
yeah, it does, yeah. So we had to get to where our job was, we had to drive down this freeway. And he had been on the freeway and as thought he saw this stealth airplane flying above him and zipping off really quickly, and and so that was that. Okay, we were like, oh, that's pretty cool. And there was, when stealth airplanes were being talked about a lot, so I guess that was just what he equated it to. So okay, fine. So the next night I'm working, and I worked nights. So I got off, and I got off about 11 o'clock or so. Um, had I worked in a restaurant slash bar. Had not had anything to drink. Got in my car, and on the highway, at one point you are very high on this hill, and it dips down over a river. And at the very high part, I could see that over by my apartment um, was these very bright lights, and I thought it was unusual. There was a strip mall across from where I lived, but it was dead. It was dead. There was a couple of shops in there, nothing that's open at 10:30. It's always dark. And but it looked kind of more like if you've seen a field when soccer games are going on at night or baseball games or football games, that glow that they give off if you're
Mm.
looking from far away. I live by I live by a golf course, and they have a driving range, and the light sets off that glow by my house. So anyway, so I was thinking, I wonder what that is. And I'd lived there for a while. I grew up in this area, and I was running through my mind, is there a field over there? Now there there is a football field. There's a high school that was also across from me, but I could tell that it wasn't over the high school. So I was thinking, oh, there must be something over there. I wouldn't know why the lights would be on at 10:30 at night. But that's what I'm doing. That the whole time I'm driving and I'm going closer, I can still see that the lights are over there, and I'm thinking, processing, what's over there? What could that be? What would be lit up at night? Did they forget to turn something off? It had never happened before. Um, and I got closer and closer to home. And the closer and closer I got to home, the clearer and clearer the fact that there were these lights, and they were by directly by my apartments.
So they weren't
The
moving, were they?
No, they weren't moving.
Because they
No, it
must have been
was
stationary.
yeah, it was stationary. It wasn't
Yeah.
moving. Um, which is why I would like, well, the question was, is there a field? Because it wasn't going anywhere, it staying the exact same. And I, the location I had placed it at, originally seeing it, was still the location, even as I got very, 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 very close. So I turned down the road that leads to where my apartments are. And sure enough, at the end of this shopping mall um, was a UFO. It was a darker than dark shape, so you could make it out because it was darker than the sky behind it. Plus, it had the lights on it, and what the lights were around it, and they this was probably I don't I don't I don't even the maybe 70 feet across.
Whoa.
And my windows were rolled down. It was in the summer, so my windows were rolled down, and I stopped in the middle of the street, stopped my car, like didn't put in park, but just stopped. Sat there looking at it through my windshield, thinking, because my brain
Yeah.
cannot grasp. It's trying to come up with a logical explanation for what this is. Is this a huge balloon? That's my brain is like trying to force whatever I'm saying into it's a balloon. And but it's not. So I'm staring at it. There's no sound. No sound except for this very, 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 very faint kind of un so faint that it's almost like I'm feeling the vibration in my body rather than hearing it.
Yeah.
And it slowly starts to move towards me. Now, even at that point, I'm so close to it. I'm 40 feet from it.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking, I'm not gonna be on one of those movies. I'm not gonna be interviewed having and I'm swearing up and down that I've, you know, been examined by UFOs. Not gonna happen. And so I put my car in drive and go into my parking lot as fast as I can. And like I'm going over I'm going over the bumps that are supposed to slow you down like I am in the Dukes of Hazzard. Just boom, 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 hitting and catching air, and I don't even care. I'm like, I don't care. Get into my parking space. My brother is inside my apartment, and he's babysitting my son. So I'm thinking, I need a witness. And I've talked about my brother in here lots and lots and lots of times, and he's generally not the person you'd ask to be a witness, but I didn't really have anybody else. The weird thing also about what's happening is that there is no other noise. There's no noise. There's no animal noises. I lived next to, surrounded by several large neighborhoods. There's no dogs barking. There's no other cars. It's summer. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. There would normally be cars out there. No matter what time I'd come home during the summer, there would be cars, people in the apartments. Nothing. There's no movement at all. So I run into my apartment. My brother is asleep on my couch. I grabbed my brother, pulled him off the couch, and drug him outside. I just kept going, and I had slider doors in the back of my apartment. Opened the slider doors, just ran outside and stood him out there and said, "What is it?" And he's like, real groggy at first, and like, "What are you doing? What's your problem? What's your effing problem?" And he looks up and he goes, "Holy shite! What the f is that?" And I'm like, "That's what I'm asking you." So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I I think it's a UFO, and it's right now, right? So in my apartments, they are U-shaped, and so there's a courtyard area, a large courtyard area where the kids could play and everything in the middle of it, and it is now hovering above that, like 2/3 of the way into it. And being as brilliant as we are, I'm standing outside now because I was afraid in my car, but I guess I thought it was going to get better if I had no shelter at all. I don't know what I was thinking. So we're standing there, and I'm staring at it, and you can just feel the vibration in the air. It's like I said, it is a very, very low, perfect humming noise, but you can feel it, and then it zips off, like goes the other direction and within a second it was gone. Couldn't see it. We saw it like start to go, and then boom, it was gone. It was zoop out of there.
Do you get any sort of weird taste in your mouth, like a metallic taste?
I I don't think so. I didn't take note of it if I did. I don't
Hmm.
know. I can't recall. But um my brother said we have to call somebody. You have to call somebody. Who do we call? Who do we call? We should call the cops. I'm like, well, I'm not calling anybody. And he's we we thought, well, like, we could call the Air Force Base, because surely they know. I mean, this is what they do. They monitor for aircraft,
Yeah.
you know. And I thought, well, we could call the Air Force Base, but then I told him, I said, we can't, and we can't call anybody. I mean, this is not today. This is not today where you can put photos and videos of UFOs on the internet and you're fine. Nobody uh, accidents you or suicides you. You're fine, right?
Accidents you. What's
Yeah,
that?
it's like you don't have any brake fluid suddenly and you're on a large hill.
All right. Okay. That's what you mean.
Yeah, so it wasn't like that then. And the people that did come out and talk about it, they were the nut jobs that were on Geraldo Rivera. And people made fun of them, and they're like, "Oh, sure, you saw something." We had I had no ability to take a photo of it, so I knew that I would just look like a nut job. And when I would get to know somebody well, I would tell them the story, and sure enough, everybody's like, "Okay, whatever." But I have a witness too. My brother sat there and watched it with me, and I have, to this day. I mean, I have no idea why it was there in this area, why like, what its intentions were to come towards me, but I can tell you that it didn't feel good. I didn't think, oh, it's unhappy, at, or I didn't think I'm not in danger. I'm sure they're fluffy. It it felt intimidating. They probably didn't take me because I took my brother out there, and they were like, "Oh God, is she related to that? That's worthless. We got to do something better." She probably doesn't have two brain cells to rub together. This guy's probably high. He probably was. But yeah, it's just I didn't get a I didn't get that feeling of this isn't dangerous. It felt dangerous to me. It felt
When
menacing. The moving towards me, um, that felt menacing. Why would you?
yeah.
The only reason to do that would be to you. By the way, your microphone's doing that thing again.
Sorry.
Reason to do that. The only reason would be to get a better look at me, or say you can go now. Like, I don't know. I knew that if I sat there in my car underneath it, I was gonna be complaining about the probing. Can I speak to your manager? This was highly inappropriate. I didn't even get a sandwich.
Didn't even buy you a drink.
No, nothing. Yeah, so that's my major UFO experience. I lived in Arizona, and boy, you see a lot of UFOs in Arizona. There's a lot of open space, but
Hmm.
when you're seeing them in Phoenix, that's not open space. There's also several Air Force bases in Arizona, in Phoenix area alone. So I think I think it has something to do with Air Force bases.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Mm.
So that was my UFO experience. I lived to tell about it, and I didn't have to, as far as I know. And let's knock on wood that I don't get any flashback memories. I was not taken and probed,
Mm.
but I don't know what they were doing.
See,
Very weird.
when I said I
Your
wasn't
microphone's doing that thing.
sorry, when I said that I wasn't scared, I didn't have like warm fuzzy feelings for what was happening.
Uh,
I
we can be friends.
Yeah, wasn't like that at all. It was just I had like I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that makes sense. But I didn't. Yeah, only thing I felt was get the f out of here. It's not good. It's not going to be pleasant. And I don't know if that was because all we ever saw about UFOs was, like the what's the sky on fire? What? Not me, Rob.
Travis Walton.
Travis Walton's kind of a story, or people who would go on talk shows and say that they'd been probed and just weird, weird, scary, crazy kind of experiences. And I don't know if that's because I felt scared because I thought, oh, this is how it starts. This this is how it goes.
But
You know, you just roll up your window. I don't know. But I can tell you that I picked up a 180-pound man with one hand on my left hand and we threw him outside.
don't you think that the way society has changed now, that obviously we've all got iPhones and
Oh yeah.
smartphones and technology. Well, they say I've heard them say that the Air Force and the Army and are 50 years ahead of us of what we've got now, or
Uh-huh.
something. I don't know how they worded it, but they're advanced. They're 50-year more advanced than what we know. I think of them, a lot of the sightings today are obviously. I believe in UFOs. You believe in UFOs because you've had
Mhm.
experiences.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of, a lot of what people are seeing today may be human in origin,
Mm.
but it's been made for
Mm.
technology that has either been
I see.
re-engineered or it's been stuff that maybe, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but that we're some way in partnership with extraterrestrials.
Mm.
Um, but
Well, I mean, our government admitted that they had a secret program to study extraterrestrials. Then our Navy, our Air Force has released videos of UFOs. Uh, I think that my youngest son said to me, "Do you think that they're doing that so that we become comfortable and with the idea of them being here so that they can come here and expose themselves?" And he goes, "Do you think they just are starting to release things slowly, like last year, mid-pandemic,
mm,
mid rising to the highest levels?" I go, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's UFOs. The government did." Like, what? And it hardly got in. I joke about this all the time. It hardly got any news because we were like, okay, but are we going to die if we walk outside? And he said, are they trying to make us comfortable?
Tracy, that what you talk about, the government I never actually heard about that. Only from
Well,
you.
our Air Force released released a huge dump of photos and videos of UFOs and said yes, they're unidentified.
Oh right. Oh no, I understand. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
so I mean, you can look on YouTube and there's all kinds of stuff released from our government.
I agree with Josh.
Do you?
Yeah, I do think they are doing that. I think that's why
I
there's
thought
so
that
many.
made sense too.
I think that's why there's so many films now. Independence Day and the Fire in the Sky and you know I think they've been doing it
And
for a long time.
they're saying that, I mean, like if you go to if you get on YouTube and just search for UFO sightings and whatnot, I mean, there's just so
Trillions.
many, so many. So there's so many of us out there who claim that we've seen them, and is that, and it's gotten more and more and more and more. I read a statistic because I'm going to do something about UFOs coming up. I got this article and about just the sheer number of UFOs that are reported across the world every day. I mean, at some point, it's going to be that just about everybody's seen one, and by then, and you see them, and they're like, okay, well, it wasn't a war of the worlds, seemed fine, nothing else happened. Then are we going to be letting our guards down, and all of a sudden, you know,
Bang.
yeah, we see the birds hitting in like signs. The birds are running into something and dropping dead. That would be a little frightening. Anyway, I
But
don't that
can I add something to the mix?
yeah.
Do you think I've asked you this question before? I think I've asked you a question on the podcast before. Do you think that it takes a certain type of person who is maybe open to ghosts and paranormal and supernatural and UFOs to they are because I mean a lot of stuff that I've watched on the TV. Yes, I know it's on the TV, everybody, and you can't believe everything. But a lot of people who witness say that they've seen a UFO. Well, we both of us I'm describing me and you are also open to different kinds of paranormal activity. Do you think you? I mean, do you think you're more likely to? Basically, what I'm trying to say is, do you think you're more likely to see a UFO if you're open to believe that they're true? Basically, it's too many basicallys in that sentence, but you get
Then
the gist of.
because I'm more open to it, then I don't write it off as
Yeah,
you
as
know
as,
like
as a weather
like
balloon
a
or
balloon.
flares or
Yes. I think that probably was the case, had been the case early on. But I feel like so many sightings now that you're bound to start getting people who weren't open to it before
yeah,
and are shocked. You know, the videos from the Air Force are getting to people that didn't believe in it before and who trust the military and are thinking, well, why are they showing it to us? It must be true, first off, but why are they showing it to us? And why are they showing it to us?
yeah,
Because you can't deny it anymore after a certain amount of time, and so many people have seen them, and it came out that our government was doing, experiments and
yeah,
trying to communicate, and then you have the astronauts who on their deathbeds admit to the things they've
yeah,
seen. Eventually maybe you gotta give a little on because um in that with the Walton guy
yeah,
in the documentary, they were saying that, oh, this will never become mainstream. It can't become mainstream because as soon as it's mainstream, then the civilization will fall apart. Governments won't be able to control people because people will be too scared, and they'll say if aliens are coming, then we're gonna start looting and lighting things on fire, and it'll just be anarchy. But
Yeah.
when it goes in like a slow little trickle, there's no anarchy. So, and pretty soon your military is releasing pictures of UFOs, and you're like, in the middle of a pandemic, no less, which was perfect to hide, kind of like, oop, slip that in there. And, right? Because nobody was afraid. They're like, okay, but I need to know if I can breathe. And we'll deal with the UFO situations later. So it was perfect timing when there is chaos already, right? There's already chaos. So just like, and UFOs, boop.
But like you said just now about the people going out looting and stuff, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
take much for that anyway. Really.
No, well, no kidding. That's why she was saying it can't be mainstream because then everybody, even people who wouldn't normally loot, are like, I, I have to get all the toilet paper. There's UFOs. They're invading us. Oh no, we need toilet paper.
Yeah. Why is it that whenever there is a global problem or there is a problem when people go looting, why is it that everybody suddenly needs an extra television?
I know. That's so weird, isn't it?
Oh, you
I
see people
know.
running off with brand new tellies. I mean,
I know. That's the first thing that comes to their mind. I need a television.
I need
I
television and
know.
toilet. Maybe they're working their way through the alphabet. Television, toilet paper.
Yeah, just started at the T's.
Yeah.
T-bone steak. I don't know. But I'm
Maybe
gonna
there's
put it
going to
down on
be
my
a
list now.
next is going to be rubbers.
Oh no, no, no.
That doesn't come
I
next
don't
to the
think so
alphabet, does it?
because I'm just saying there was a lot of babies born in the last few months.
What comes after T in the alphabet? It's not R, is it?
No,
I can't even
you,
read.
you
You
underwear,
underwear, umbrellas, obviously.
umbrellas.
Yeah,
Yes, that could come in very handy with UFOs.
yeah.
I
Why
can't
did
see
I?
you.
Yeah, you can't see me. Yeah, I can see the aliens coming down to Earth and going. We can't attack, lads. Look, they've got umbrellas with, you know. It was a good
First off,
idea,
they
but
can use it as a weapon, but
yeah,
yeah, it was a good idea. But they got umbrellas, so they don't want to land in Texas because we're armed and ready.
yeah. They don't want to go near
Uh,
me because I think I'm the only person that thinks that U comes after C in the alphabet.
no, you thought R came after T.
R, yeah, R comes after. C, I'm not.
It's all right, Rob.
Maybe when I had my UFO experience, maybe they did come and get me. Maybe they did. Maybe I've been probed too much, and that maybe they probed my brain out.
It's possible.
Anything's possible.
All right. Well, I'm gonna. If it's okay with you, do you want to round this up?
Yeah, yeah.
It's I'm getting into the hour where,
Oh yeah. Sorry.
yeah, where I have to be deadly silent. And they're all like, "What is she talking about?"
Yeah.
My my husband gets up for work pretty soon, and I have to calm myself and be quiet so I don't wake him up in his last hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rob always makes that difficult for me.
Hey?
He'll come out here and sometimes be like, "You guys were talking about blah blah blah." And I'll be like, "Yeah, so sheep and wellies."
Oh,
You had to be there. It was a perfectly normal conversation. All right, you guys. Thank you for coming. And like I said, if you would give this video a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. If you would go give the video about the missing children thumbs up, I would appreciate that as well because the more since I can't since I don't have comments, YouTube will not recommend it at all. So if you would go give it thumbs up because that does help it in the algorithm.
yep.
I'd appreciate that. And subscribe if you'd like to. Stick around for this
Yeah, I
insightful
hope I've been
content.
exciting enough for you. I'm not bored
Yeah,
anyone.
so somebody left a comment and said Rob is boring. Aw,
Me? Yeah,
yeah,
how could
you.
that be? How could
I,
that be?
you make me laugh all day long.
Oh, dear me.
All right. Well, good
Okay.
night, you guys. Or good
All
morning,
right,
I guess.
guys. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.